The following is presented by the Pinellas County Extension.
When you're getting ready to select a plant for your landscape, it's very important to do a site analysis. You need to know what the light characteristics are of that area. Is it in full sun? Is it in part sun? Or is it a fully shaded area? Also, is it going to be exposed to any kind of salt? Salt in the air, salty water? This will also be an important consideration. Another thing to look at is how well the soil drains. Does it tend to hold a lot of moisture after rainfall, or is it completely well drained and dry after just a short amount of time? Another thing that you want to consider when you're looking at your site conditions are the soil pH. Do you have an alkaline soil or do you have an acidic soil? Now, we're in a coastal area, so most of our soils tend to be rather alkaline, and choosing a plant that can tolerate those alkaline conditions is also going to be important. So you can have it tested and find out what the pH of your soil actually is. There are some acid-loving plants which, when placed in an alkaline soil, will not do well. They will have nutritional deficiencies and they will not look like healthy plants because they won't be healthy plants. Some of these are azaleas, gardenias, ixoras. These are acid-loving plants and they will not do well in an alkaline soil. Now, if you really want to have this kind of a plant and you have an alkaline soil, you can amend the soil, but you need to amend the whole planting area. And basically what you need to do is remove that whole soil and bring in a new acidic soil. Because in our soils, especially if there are shells in them, no matter what you do, you can't really lower the pH. It's going to always come back up to being alkaline. Knowing these conditions in your landscape are going to help you decide which plant is going to do well for the particular location that you're going to be placing it. When purchasing your plant, make sure that you don't bring home any weeds or diseases or insects with that plant. If it's got any of those, you want to leave it at the nursery. The other thing you want to do is inspect the roots and make sure that it's not root bound. If you see roots coming out the bottom of the pot, then it is most likely root bound, and you also want to just leave that plant at the nursery. Now that you've chosen the plant that you're going to put into the particular site, you need to dig the hole. But how do you dig the hole? You want to make sure that you dig the hole so that the top of the root ball area is about 10% above the grade of the land. So when you're digging your hole, don't dig it too deeply, but you do want to dig it extra wide. It should be 1.5 times wider than the width of the root ball. It's important to make sure that the plant is well watered before you ever take it out of the pot and get ready to plant it. When you pull the plant out of the container, if you see circling roots, this is really not a good plant that you want to plant in your landscape. If you get it home and it's already like that and you don't want to take it back, what you can do is look for where the root first starts to make that circling turn and cut it at that point. That way the new roots will go out straight and they won't stay continuing in that circle. Once you've placed the root ball into the soil, make sure that you've got a little bit, about 10% of it, that's above grade. When you're doing your planting, a lot of people think that they need to add peat moss or fertilizer or something like that to the planting hole, and that's really not the case. What you want to do is stay with the native soil and keep it pretty much all the same type of soil. You don't want to mix in different kinds of things. And you don't want to put fertilizer at the bottom because it's not going to really get to the roots and it's just going to go into the water table. Then you want to put the mulch up to that area, but not covering the root ball. You want to make sure that you leave the root ball exposed because this way it's going to get water into the plant. If you cover it with a lot of mulch, it will keep it from getting the water that it needs. And water is the most critical thing that you need to do during the establishment of a plant. Once you get the plant planted, you want to make a mounding area around it so that it acts somewhat as a reservoir for the water that you're going to be putting in to get the plant established. Wait a couple of weeks and then you can go ahead and fertilize over the top part of where the plant is. Now, depending on the size of the plant, the larger the plant, the longer it's going to take to get established. So the smaller plant that you purchase, it's going to be less expensive and it will also establish more quickly than a larger plant that you purchase.
For more information on this and many more topics, visit www.pinellascountyextension.org.